This is the Manfrotto Lumimuse 8 Bluetooth. It's a tiny LED light that you can control via your iPhone. Let's find out a little bit more about it. So if the Lumimuse 8 looks familiar, that's because the Lumimuse 8 Bluetooth is almost identical to this, which is the standard Lumimuse 8. It has 8 LEDs in a circular formation, and the LEDs are quoted as being 5600 Kelvin. So it's a daylight balanced LED light. Now, Manfrotto also rate the light as having quite a moderate CRI rating of 92%. Now that's okay without being exceptional. Usually we're looking for ratings over 95% to get the best kind of colour reproduction. So the LEDs are housed in this small metal and plastic body, and the back acts as a heat sink. It's fully metal and the heat dissipates from the LEDs through that. Now included in here you get a small attachment that acts as a cold shoe mount, and at the bottom, which is how I'm mounting it to the monopod, we've got the usual 1/4 inch tripod thread, so you can put it on a tripod or a lighting stand or clamp or anything like that. Now it's powered by a built-in rechargeable battery, and you can recharge this using the micro USB socket on the side. And once it's fully charged, Manfrotto claim that it can give up to 60 minutes of light, but I actually turned it on to full power and started a stopwatch. Now during that time I did adjust the power level up and down a little bit. I was just seeing how it would work as a fill light, but even with Bluetooth on, I was actually able to get power from this light pretty much on full power for 100% of the time, and it was over 90 minutes before the light finally completely switched off due to a low battery. However, it was extremely hot to touch, and this may be the reason why they only quote 60 minutes. I honestly couldn't hold the light in my hand for more than about 5 or 6 seconds before it really started to burn. All of that heat obviously going through the metal heatsink that is on the back. It generates a lot of heat from those LEDs. Now that's obviously not a huge big deal, but it does mean if you are going to be using the light for some time, make sure you handle it with care. But in summary, really good battery life, but it does get hot. Now the light has 4 power settings which are controlled by the power button, which is just on the side here. So you press and hold to turn it on, and then if we press it again, we get 50% power up from 25%. Now we're on 75%, and then it goes all the way through to 100. Probably getting some nice lens flare from this right now. Let's turn it back off. Now the cool part comes when you connect the light via Bluetooth to your iPhone. Now sadly at the moment there isn't an app available for Android, it's simply iOS only. So connecting the light to your iPhone, very straightforward. Simply open the Manfrotto Lumimuse app and then you simply search for the light. So let's turn it on and hold it down just for a few seconds. And that should sort of connect the Bluetooth, and it automatically requests to pair because we've done this obviously before. So we hit the pair button here, and now the light is actually paired up. Now we've got 25, 50, 75 and 100% power output settings when we're using the switch on the side, but when we actually use the controller slider here, we have 0 to 100. So by sliding my finger on the display here, I can just control the light remotely. And that's it. Now, if you've got multiple lights, so if you get 2 or 3, 4 of these even, they will all show up on here and you can then work with them individually. So it's great if you're in a small studio environment like this and you've maybe got little lights all over the place lighting up different sections. You can just sit here, present a video, and I can control all the lights on me and check them on my monitor here. Really nice, simple to use app. It's very straightforward. So for its really small size, the light kicks out a lot of light. The specification says at 1 meter it measures 550 lux, but I always find those measurements kind of a bit abstract. So let's turn the main lights off here and I'll light myself and we'll see just how powerful the light is. Okay, so I've left the background light on just to provide a little bit of silhouette so that this isn't complete darkness. Now let's just slowly turn the Lumimuse 8 on. It's pointing directly at me, and as you can see me reaching there, it's about arm's length away, so probably a sort of meter and a bit. It's angled slightly down towards my face, but it's pretty much a meter away, pointing right at my face. Now let's slide this up here. So this is at around 25%. It's absolutely blinding me already. I can't see the I can't see where the lens is, so my eyes might be looking off camera. Now let's slowly slide it up to 100%, and that is what the light is like at 100%. Now the light's very hard, but you can actually get these clip-on filters for it. You get a diffusion one and a couple that help match it to tungsten light in the kit with it. Now this is what it looks like, obviously quite hard without the diffusion. So I'm just going to put this diffusion filter on and we'll just compare the difference. Right, I'm completely blinded, so I still can't really see into the camera, but hopefully I'm looking in roughly the right direction. This is with the diffusion on, so it should be a little bit softer. It's still going to be pretty hard, to be honest, because we've got a small light source, but hopefully that is just sort of taking the edge off it ever so slightly and just softening it up. I'm being blinded by this right now, so I'm going to turn it off and put the main studio lights back on. Now, using the light outside on a bright sunny afternoon, to be honest, it did little to act as a fill-in light. Even at around a metre away, I put it on top of the GH4 and shot a bit of video, which we're looking at now. It's not really noticeable that the light's really doing anything at all, other than maybe adding a catch light. But then when you step inside in a sunlit room, so we've got a big window of the light coming in from one side, when you put it on top of the camera, I found that actually this is at about 65% power, it just evens out those shadows, and by the time you put it on full power, it just lifts your sort of face and it really brings it out. So as a fill light, it works quite nicely when you're using it in indoor environments, and if you're outside, you've got an overcast day, something like that, then it's probably going to do pretty well. But in bright sunshine, for getting rid of harsh shadows, you're really not going to notice much of a difference, to be perfectly honest. Now in terms of colour, I use the Sony A7R to take a custom white balance reading using the Lumimuse 8 Bluetooth light, and then I also used a grey card. And I found that the A7R measured the colour at 6400 for some of the lower settings, but at 100% it was 6500. Now more importantly, at none of those power settings was there any magenta or green shift. Now that is far more important, particularly if you want to match this light with other sort of high quality studio lights. Now if you want to mix this light with tungsten lights, then you do get these kind of slightly soft and amber gels included, and these just pop into this filter adapter just like the diffusion, which is already still there, and then it just pops on in the front there, really straightforward. So it means it's a really nice light. If you're already using sort of ambient lighting, tungsten base, you can just pop this and just again use it as a little bit of a fill. And there are also some other filter kits they do for this. I'll put the details in the description and up on screen now, but they're kind of there's a portrait one, and it acts all kind of different colors and diffusion kind of filters for it, so you can actually grow the system a little bit as well, so look out for those. So how exactly is the Lumimuse 8 useful? Well, as we've said, it acts as a useful fill light when you're filming a subject, maybe doing a sort of on-the-spot interview, something like that. For product photography, for smaller products, it's nice and small, and it means you can manipulate it and move it around smaller objects really easily. And you can use things like sort of modeling clay or stuff like that to make the light a bit more directional. As a backlight, you can use it as well. So for example, in fact, let's put it on the ceiling now and I'll use it as a backlight. So the Lumimuse 8 has now gone from here, only this little stub remains, and I've now clamped it onto a bracket on the ceiling behind me, and it's now turned on. And using the app now, I can turn it on and off just like that and alter the power. And this is sort of really ideal case scenario for using it. And imagine I've got one there, I've got one maybe over there, I've got another one where I'm lighting up a product here. I can control all of those from my phone, and this is where the Bluetooth functionality, you know, becomes really nice to be able to do that, watch it all without having to move from your seat. Sounds a bit lazy, but actually it's more to do with sort of fiddling here, sitting down again, fiddling here. If you're shooting videos like this yourself, then really useful for doing things like this. Now there is a catch, and it's a big one. This little light costs almost £130, which is very expensive. And now even the version without the Bluetooth functionality, this one here, costs £105. So whilst they are neat, well designed, functional, powerful little lights, they don't come cheap. That said, it is a little cheaper than the £160 for the Aperture Amarang AL-M6, which has just come out. Now that light doesn't have Bluetooth control, but it is sort of by colour, variable colour, and it looks like it might be slightly more powerful. Now we haven't got one to test them side by side. Hopefully we're going to be able to do that soon, but it just kind of puts this into perspective. You do pay for those premium quality products. Now, obviously, if you can live with a lower build quality, a larger design, things like an external battery, then there are far cheaper lights that you can get on Amazon. And that's really what you're paying for with the Lumimuse 8 Bluetooth. You're paying for the power, the size and the good build quality of it, the functionality and just the convenience overall. So that's my review of the Manfrotto Lumimuse 8 Bluetooth. If you've enjoyed this review, we put out videos like this once or twice a week. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can keep up to date with all the latest photo gear news and reviews.